The film was written under the working title A Nightmare on Elm Street 7: The Ascension. Wes Craven set out to make a deliberately more cerebral film than recent entries to the franchise, which he regarded as being cartoonish and not faithful to his original themes. The basic premise originated when Craven first signed on to co-write Dream Warriors, but New Line Cinema rejected it then. But it would all come to fruition with the 10th year anniversary of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise with his new film in 1994, Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
I can tell you what the nightmare is about so far. It's about this entity, whatever you want to call it. It's old. It's very old. It's existed in different forms at different times. About the only thing about it that stays the same is what it lives for, really.
What is that?
Oh, the murder of innocence.
Look, this is still a script we're talking about, right, Wes?
Yeah, well, I sort of think of it as a nightmare in progress.
Well, in this nightmare in progress, then, does this thing have any weaknesses?
Oh, well, it can be captured sometimes.
Captured? How?
And by storytellers, of all things. I mean, every so often they imagine a story good enough to sort of catch its essence, and then, for a while, it's held prisoner in the story.
Like the genie in the bottle.
Exactly. But the problem comes when the story dies. And that can happen in a lot of ways. It can get too familiar to people, or somebody waters it down to make it an easier sell, you know? Or maybe it's just so upsetting to society that it's banned outright. However it happens, when the story dies, the evil is set free.
You're saying Freddy is this ancient thing.
Right. Current version. And for 10 years, he's been held captive pretty much as Freddy in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. But now that the films have ended, the genie's out of the bottle. That's what the nightmares are telling me, and that's what I'm writing.
Well, if Freddy is loose in your script, where's he gonna go? Another age? Another form?
No, that's not what the dreams have him doing, though.
What is he doing?
Well, see, he's sort of gotten used to being Freddy now, and he likes our time and space, so he's decided to cross over. Out of films, into our reality.
Isn't there somebody who can stop him?
Actually, there is a person in the dreams, sort of a gatekeeper, so to speak. Somebody that Freddy has to get by before he can come through into our world. That person's you, Heather.
It's me. Who I mean?
Well, dramatically speaking, it makes perfect sense. You played Nancy, after all, and you were the first to humiliate him, defeat him.
That was Nancy, Wes. It's not me.
Yeah, but it was you that gave Nancy her strength. So, in order to get out, he's got to come through you. And it's inevitable that he's going to try to do that at your most vulnerable points.
Oh my God, Wes. Did you know?
It was a script. It was a dream. I didn't know.
You know damn well it's more than that now.
Wes. How can we stop him?
I think the only way to stop him is to make another movie. Now, I swear to you, I'm going to stay by this computer and keep writing until I finish the script, but when that time comes, you're going to have to make a choice.
Choice? What kind of choice?
Whether or not you're willing to play Nancy one last time.
Listen, kid. There are two things you don't know about the Earth. One is me, and the other is Godzilla.
Come with me if you want to live.
Get to the chopper!
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
It's over! Nothing is over!
Hey everyone, welcome welcome back to Chills and Thrills. Connor here along with Adrian, and today we are looking at Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So if you would like to jump off and give me some history that you have with the film, or if you remember when you first seen this and how you felt on the most recent rewatch for the episode, and just kind of dive into how you feel about the film.
I remember watching this movie again whenever I was like 6 or 7, somewhere super way too young for it. And even then, I remember watching this one. I was like, okay, this isn't Freddy. Like he's much scarier. He reminds me of the first Freddy, and scared the shit out of me. And then rewatching it now, I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally digging this freaking film. This was such a great watch. I love this movie.
I watched it a lot as a not a kid. I watched it a few times as a younger kid, but when I got into my teen years, that's where this film kind of took off for me, and I started watching this one a little more. And I just think it's compared to all the other Nightmare films, this one is like it's so creative, and I don't know where Wes Craven came up with the idea to like have a film that he's filming like within a film, like everything is like within itself, like even like when we get to the end and like like Heather Langenkamp is reading the script of this movie to her little boy, and it's so creative how like even the conversation that her and Wes have about the movie, and then the script, the script prompt comes up on the screen, and exactly what their conversation just was, it rolls through on the screen. And like to have Robert Englund appear as himself in the film, and Heather Langenkamp appears herself, and Nancy's father, John Saxon, appears his real life self and character. Like it's such a unique like horror film. Like you never have seen something like this before, or at least I hadn't. And like I don't think I've ever seen something like this again, where it's a film within itself, where it's like the real life characters are being put to screen in a movie as themselves in real life. So like I don't know if I'm exactly saying that right, but it's just a twist that you didn't expect.
Robert Englund, um, portraying himself in a movie, I thought that was super cool to see, even at a young age. Whenever I rewatched this movie as a teenager, I just had a huge respect for that, because I thought it was really cool to see, the Robert Englund outside the Freddy makeup, how he actually talked threw me for a loop. Um, and just seeing him interact with Heather, and just seeing that he painted like that was crazy. Uh, yeah, and that's kind of my feel for it.
I thought everything in this film, like see, like we open in the beginning where like they're filming another Nightmare film, and it's showing like how special effects are done, and you got, like I said, Wes Craven himself, Robert Englund himself later on in the film. They go to like New Line Studios where like you get Sarah and Bob Shea, and like it's just like films don't do this, and especially back then didn't do this, like where you're almost you're living through the eyes of Heather in her real life, like where places she's been, things she's done, and like you're living through the real life experience of filming this film and getting it ready to put to screen, but they're doing it in the movie. I don't know how he came up with this, and it was like just the most clever idea, and it really didn't take off when it was released and become like this big hit film. And a couple years after, like fans really started to like see what this film was and finally give it appreciation. And it the numbers don't reflect how big this film turned out to be for the Nightmare fans.
Yeah, and I believe the term is meta. Um, whenever a movie acknowledges what it is. So like Scream is very well known for being a meta um film. But I think this one was the original. It was they're developing a horror movie, they're in a horror movie, and I just feel like this one was the original meta film before Scream. This movie could walk so that way Scream could run.
I think I agree with you there. I feel like there's a lot of inspiration when you watch Scream from this film. Like if you did like a two-parter, like a back-to-back watch of the two, I think you could see a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Just quick little side note, I loved the fact that Wes Craven he did a little he popped up as in Scream wearing the classic Freddy Krueger colors. Uh I know that's off. We'll talk about Scream another time, but I just had to throw that in.
Well, and his name was Fred. He was a janitor named Fred. So you can't go wrong with mentioning that.
Oh yeah, it's so great. I love that nod to his his previous work.
Absolutely. Well, I'll give you some background here on Wes Craven's New Nightmare before we get into our trailer and plot and all the good stuff.
All right, let's do it.
So Wes Craven's New Nightmare, also known simply as New Nightmare, is a 1994 American meta-supernatural horror film written and directed by Wes Craven, creator of 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street. A standalone film and the seventh installment in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, it is not part of the same continuity as previous films, instead portraying Freddy Krueger as a fictional movie villain who invades the real world and haunts the cast and crew involved in the making of the films about him. In the film, Freddy is depicted as closer to what Craven originally intended, being much more menacing and less comical, with an updated attire and appearance. The film stars Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp, Miko Hughes, and John Saxon. The film features various people involved in the motion picture industry portraying themselves, including Langenkamp, who is compelled by events in the narrative to reprise her role as Nancy Thompson. New Nightmare features several homages to the original film, such as quotes and recreations of the most famous scenes, and this film won an International Fantasy Film Award from Fanisporto for Best Screenplay by Craven. New Nightmare was released on October 14, 1994, and it was the lowest grossing film in the Nightmare series. However, it received positive reviews from critics and is considered by many as one of the best Nightmare movies and one of Wes Craven's most enduring films. It was followed by 2003's Freddy vs. Jason, a crossover with the Friday the 13th franchise set in the same continuity as the other and original Nightmare films. So there is a little background on Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Absolutely love it, and I couldn't help but notice you did say meta film, so I'm spot on.
We never said you were wrong here. We're pretty used to being right on this show, you know.
Hell yeah.
Well, why don't we go ahead? We'll jump into a trailer on the film. We'll get a plot synopsis read off, and as always, we'll come back with the numbers, the fun facts, and our favorite categories on this fan favorite film.
Let's do it.
Mark it, common mark.
I'm doing a film about my nightmares as I'm dreaming them. In order for the movie to continue, it was dependent on me having more nightmares. Well, fortunately, I did.
I'm a little frightened by what Wes may have tapped into. I frankly felt that it was over when we did the final nightmare.
In a town where movies go over schedule and directors go over budget, something far more evil is out of control.
Suffered its own terror today as two of Hollywood's best-known special effects technicians were found dead.
Part of the theme of the movie is becoming like part of the making of the movie.
Can you come with me in my dreams? I think that only happens in the movies.
It happens when the story dies. The evil is set free. Now that the films have ended, the genie's out of the bottle. That's what the nightmares are telling me, and that's what I'm writing.
This is still a script we're talking about, right, Wes?
He's decided to cross over out of films into our reality. The only way to stop him is to make another movie.
Oh my God.
The bad man's getting awful close.
You're gonna have to make a choice.
What kind of choice?
Whether or not you're willing to play Nancy one last time.
Cut the effect!
Isn't there somebody who can stop him?
That person's you.
Why me?
But it was you that gave Nancy her strength.
Where's my son?
Heather Langenkamp lives in Los Angeles, California, with her husband Chase and their young son Dylan. She is recognized for her role as Nancy Thompson in the Nightmare on Elm Street film series. One night, she has a nightmare in which her family is attacked by a set of animated Freddy Krueger claws from an upcoming nightmare film. Waking up to an earthquake, she notices a cut on Chase's finger similar to the one he had in her dream. Heather receives frequent creepy phone calls from an obsessed fan who quotes Freddy Krueger's nursery rhyme in Freddy's voice. This coincides with a meeting with New Line Cinema, where she is asked to reprise her role as Nancy in a new nightmare film. At home, Dylan has a traumatizing fit about Freddy. As Chase drives home from work, he falls asleep at the wheel and is slashed to death by Freddy claws. After his funeral, Heather has another Freddy nightmare, and her friend and former co-star John Saxon, who played her father in the films, suggests she seek medical attention for Dylan. Dylan's health deteriorates as he becomes increasingly scared of Freddy and paranoid about going to sleep. Heather visits nightmare creator Wes Craven, who admits to having precognitive nightmares. He explains that the films had kept trapped an ancient supernatural entity, which had been freed after the series ended with the release of Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. In the guise of Freddy, the entity is focusing on Heather, its primary foe, as killing her will allow it to enter the real world. Heather must agree to play Nancy again to stop it. Heather catches a glimpse of Wes's script, which inexplicably is a written play-by-play of every dialogue and action she and everyone around her are taking. Robert Englund, who portrayed Freddy in the films, also appears to suffer nightmares and be haunted by the new Freddy, disappearing when Heather tries to contact him. Heather takes Dylan to the hospital and returns home for his stuffed dinosaur while his babysitter Julie keeps watch. After Dylan falls asleep from the nurse's sedative, Freddy brutally kills Julie. Sleepwalking, Dylan leaves the hospital and Heather chases him home as Freddy taunts them. She realizes that reality is overlapping with the films. Saxon now addresses her as Nancy and acts as Don Thompson, and her street, house, and clothes all transform into Nancy's. Once Heather embraces Nancy's role, Freddy emerges into reality and abducts Dylan into his world. Heather follows them to a hellish construct of Freddy's boiler room. After a fight, she and Dylan push Freddy into the furnace, destroying both the monster and its reality. They emerge back into the real world from under his blankets, and Heather finds a copy of the events in Wes's screenplay. Inside is a note from Wes Craven thanking her for defeating Freddy and playing Nancy one last time. Her victory helps imprison the entity once more. So Wes Craven's New Nightmare had a budget of $8 million in 1994 and a box office return of $19.8 million, which in 2025 numbers would be $17.5 million budget and a $36 million box office return. So again, it was close to making about 2.5 times its money.
Yeah, but still, that hurts.
I if I was old enough and I would have seen this trailer for this film, I would have 100% been in the theaters. After Freddy's dead, to see the trailer for this and see that it's like Wes
Darker.
Craven is coming back to the franchise, and like we're probably gonna get a fresh new take. Like I would have been in one of those seats.
Yes. Now, as a movie buff, um, somebody that knows directors and knows the people and all that, yeah, 100%, you're in those seats. But as the average Joe, I think Freddy's Dead kind of killed uh, Krueger. You know,
Even as an average Joe, though, my thought would be like, you got Wes Craven's name attached to this. You have Heather Langenkamp's name attached to this. John Saxon, who I mean, you can see in the trailer that he's once again back playing her dad in parts of the film, and like so those three names right there tell me like, all right, something big is probably happening. It's not these three aren't just gonna come back to make a mediocre film.
you most certainly hope not.
So this film, even though we kind of the box office return wasn't what they wanted, it did do pretty good numbers in other areas. It is rated a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb, has a 79% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, a 64% rating on Metacritic, and then 86% of Google users liked this film.
Oh yeah,
So I don't. The 79% for Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, that surprised me, and I think that's about where I would be at. I think this is like a pretty high C, or like probably a B film for me. This is one of the ones that if I think of A Nightmare on Elm Street or like Freddy Krueger, I think of like parts 1, 3, 4, and New Nightmare, if I'm not including Freddy versus Jason.
mm-hmm. Um, I would give this a mid to high B.
I I don't know, maybe kinda like crowds might not have just been ready for something like this in the early 90s, because like horror had just kind of really died out in like the late 80s. It was getting like too much airtime per se, because after like Halloween, Friday the 13th, like there were hundreds of just copycats like rush and get a horror movie out, and it cost $1 million to make, and if we make 10 million, we're golden. So there were hundreds of knockoff films made and cheap little horror films, so it was kind of dying down. And then you come back with this after, and especially after Freddy's Dead kind of killed the franchise, and I think fans were just kind of sick of it. And then you get Scream's revival in 1996. And then after that, I think people started coming back to these movies. And I think after that, they started to gain a following again, and horror movies started to come back. And ever since Scream, they kind of haven't really died down again. They've kind of changed, like, they've went from like slasher to like paranormal back to some slasher, but it's never truly like died down again.
Yeah, you're right. Right now they're in the slasher phase, with the Terrifier movies.
I love it. I love it. Keep bringing them. Supposedly the fourth one coming up is the last one, but we'll see when, money talks.
Yeah, 100%. Have you seen these? Side note: have you seen these? They call them the Pooniverse. It's the Winnie the Pooh, the Pinocchio, Peter Pan. Have you seen any of these crazy ones?
Oh, like the Blood and Honey, and then there's the Pinocchio's Revenge, and then I think they even did like a Popeye film. And
Yeah.
I have seen the first Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. I did not see the second one.
They're so good. I love them.
They're that cheesy B film that you can have fun with. At least the first one was.
Yes, and it continues on through if yeah, they call it the Pooniverse, which is a horrible name, by the way.
It is a terrible name.
Yeah, I know. I regret saying it every time, but you kind of have to. And it's they're such good movies because they're right up my alley with being those B-rated horror movies that are just gory just to be gory.
100%. I will have to continue checking them out when, like I said, with the podcast, I'm kind of working my way through new movies that are coming out or ones that I missed when they were released. So trust me, I have a list that is quite long for that I need to catch up on.
That you do, my friend. That you do. Um, now, as far as movies going back to the original thing, as far as horror movies going back up and down, up and down. Yes, this one was at the tail end of when horror movies did die, and it was because the whole thing, the whole um, oh, what is that phrase I'm looking for? Just it was just saturated. Like the whole movie industry was saturated with those horror movies, and Um, it didn't make a comeback until Scream.
Again, directed by Wes Craven, the man,
Oh, yes.
the man, the myth, the legend.
Can't keep him down. He's just fantastic. Love
He
him.
brings you a Nightmare on Elm Street in '84. He brings you this in '94, and so he gives the horror community a boost in '84, and then he gives us something meta that we're not ready for in '94, and then he does it again in '96, and clearly a couple years later we were ready for it, and horror took off yet again.
Oh, yeah.
So there are a total of 5 deaths in this film, averaging to 1 death every 22 and a half minutes, which, with this film being the longest in the franchise to date, I mean, we're gonna get some time in between kills, unless you have, 10, 12 kills in this film. But there's a one thing I like about this film, which I usually am hit or miss with horror movies, is there's a lot of buildup and there's like a lot of story. There's a lot of explaining of what's going on and how things are being done in the film. And this is one horror film that I actually sincerely like that in. I like the buildup to Freddy, that we don't get him until around like 50 minutes in is where we first see the demon Freddy coming out of the dreams into the real world. So I like that aspect, and I like how things are handled in this film. When in some other films, I don't like waiting that long, or I don't like having as much story. So that's one strong suit of this one, I think.
Yes, this movie, I agree with you 100%. I think that they did with the buildup for it was phenomenal. I love a movie with some good buildup, suspense. That's what a word I'm looking for. Like Jaws, oh yeah, love that movie. It's so much suspense and it keeps you like right on the edge of your seat thinking, "Oh, the shark's coming, the shark's coming. Here it is, here it is. Oh, nope, nope, not there yet." And it's fantastic. I love it.
You're earning brownie points here because that's my favorite movie of all time. That is number 1 for me. But you just get so much. You learn about Heather Langenkamp having a stalker and getting all these weird phone calls, and like why she hasn't returned to that's like part of the story to why she hasn't returned to do another nightmare film, is because she has a stalker, or a fan as he's called in the film. And so like you get some interesting points to like watch through the film. And she's married with a kid now, and her husband does special effects for films, and he's kind of like going behind her back and working on the next nightmare film that Wes is planning, even though she doesn't know that Wes is planning for her to be the star of it. And it's just like a bunch of fun, like little stories mixed into one that add up over the course of the film, and it's fun.
Yep, yep. I'm with you on that one. It's always interesting to learn about celebrities in a non-creepy way. And this movie definitely gave that to you. I mean, it yeah, it showed Heather in her actual life, supposedly. And it was really cool to just see all that. Just see her as like a normal person. And the limo driver in the beginning of that film, I found to be creepy.
That's why she rolled the glass up in between them, the little window there.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, she's she's the normal person. Got it.
All right, so of course, as always, I do have Freddy's screen time, and Freddy is on screen for a total of just under 7 minutes. So it's actually about 6 minutes, 57 seconds, or about 6.25% of the film, which that is our lowest percentage wise to date, but it is our second least amount of screen time behind the first A Nightmare on Elm Street, which was only it was just under 7 minutes, but it wasn't quite. It was like 6 minutes and like 52 seconds or something. So just a shade more than that film, but that film is also like 20 minutes shorter, I believe, including credits, roughly around there.
Okay, so they could have snuck a little bit more Krueger in there.
Yeah, I didn't realize that in this film we got the like we got the attack on her husband Chase in the beginning, but that was only the glove, which I did include that in the screen time. And
Oh,
then
wow.
we don't get the actual new like demon Freddy coming into the real world until he attacks Heather an hour and right around, I think it was like an hour and 8 minutes into the film.
Wow, my goodness. And still, just like the first one, such a great film.
And that was my surprise. I was like, this is like one of the better films in the franchise. Same with the first one and then the third one as well. And all of those films keep his screen time down. I'll even go through quick. The first one was like 6 minutes 52 seconds. The third one was 7 minutes and 45 seconds, and then this one again back to under 7 minutes. So three of the best films in the franchise, and they keep his screen time to a minimal.
Wow, and that begs the question: is less really more?
It might be because, like we just talked about in our last episode, we got 15 and a half minutes of him in Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare, but it just wasn't as effective as some of these other films.
And that's just such a damn shame because you get such gold with him every single second he is on there. But he just I don't know, it just the overall story and the movie wasn't the best. But him, standalone, freaking shining beacon whole time.
And then you come to this one where in this film I would have loved to get 15 minutes of this version of Freddy Krueger. I give me 15 minutes out of the hour, and I believe it's 52 minutes or 53-minute runtime of this film.
But yeah, that would have been fantastic. That would have been phenomenal. Give me more of Krueger. I mean, even like if it's just like his head and his arm popping out of the seat and just him saying something funny about like him uh clawing up the dude's chest like while he's driving. I don't know, some quip about him falling asleep and driving. Something. Just give me something else. More. I want more. It's not enough.
It's not. Well, and I do like that they keep him in the like hidden in the shadows, and like once we do get him in this film, it's a jump scare.
Yeah.
And it's just bam in your face, and here's Freddy Krueger. And like I think that's the first time we, besides like the painting and everything in the film, that we actually see like the new makeup design and everything. So that like first like little in your face, I think that's really effective for the Freddy screen time, because up until then I think we had only seen him for like 30 or 45 seconds, just like little hints and like nods of like his glove.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do like that upgraded glove. That's really cool. The 5 blades, but I I wanna just fun little activity right now, fun little mind thought or exercise. Picture the whole franchise the way with the Krueger that showed up in the first time you see Krueger and on a Nightmare of Elm Street 1 with those long ass arms. And just imagine the whole series where He was just he's just got those long ass arms the whole time.
I thought you were going a different direction, and I was going to say the first time we see him in this film, imagine the whole franchise with that Kruger.
Yeah, I mean, you can turn it that way to make it a little bit more serious and a little bit darker, but go more comedic and long ass arms. Yeah,
we went comedic in the last film. Nobody liked it. No,
I think that was a little too comedic.
You're right. I agree. So that is all I have for you on the numbers category. Of course, our two most important ones are the number of deaths in the film and the Freddy screen time. So we always have to knock those out.
Of course, of course. Thank you again for those numbers. That's always good to hear. Like you just wonder, how much time do these killers really take? I mean, have in their movies that they're super famous for, and turns out with Freddy, not a lot.
So why don't we go ahead and move on to some fun facts? That is all the numbers I have for you. Would you like to rip into our fun facts first?
Yeah, I'm for it. Let's do let's see, I'm running around here. I got them all over the place, but there's one that I wanted to read first. Okay, here it is. Um, David Newsom said he felt like a dork playing a special effects tech because he was so clean cut, nicely dressed, when all the real special effects techs around him were in just jeans, t-shirts, and had beards.
So he was the standout. He was you put him in a lineup, it's like, who's not the special effects? It's him. It's that guy. Or it is him, and he's
Yeah,
just
he's
the
the real
only
guy.
one.
Yeah. Who? Point out your supervisor, please.
Yeah. So my first one for you here is, in this film, Freddy is depicted much closer to what Wes Craven had originally intended for the character. Much more menacing, much less comical, with an updated attire and appearance. However, in 2015, before his death, he would admit he regretted changing his appearance and said, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it," which was why he kept Ghostface's mask the same in every Scream film.
I had that one too. That's such a good little piece of trivia. Um, let's see. Oh, this Robert Englund said that this is his favorite movie in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, along with Freddy's makeup being his favorite look.
I will say the Freddy, the makeup and attire, like the big, like, black coat that he's wearing, and just the makeup in general. And I like how he actually has a claw on his thumb now, and not just the four fingers. He's got them on all five in this film. It's a different look. It's like many people have said, it's a creepier, scarier version of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. I did like the thumb claw. And, it was funny, I had to pause the movie because as I was watching it and they showed, all 5, and I was like, "Something's not right here, and I don't know what." So I had to research, and I looked at the original glove, I was like, "Oh, yeah, there's only 4 claws."
I never did look up or see, like, why that was a thing, but maybe I'll have to dig into that for one of our future episodes and see what the thought process was on adding that claw on the thumb.
It was definitely a good choice, I will say that.
I absolutely liked it as well. So I know we are talking about Heather Langenkamp in real life, so here's one about that. The events in this film revolve around Heather Langenkamp having a stalker, and in real life, she did have a stalker, and Wes Craven asked for her permission to weave it into the story of this film.
Very nice. Yeah, I read that and I was like, "Oh, that's nice of her to give the permission for that, but it sucks that you had to go through that, you know?"
Yeah, it's one of those things to where it's like, I get I'm a movie star, I'm famous per se, but it's like, just let me live my life. And
Right.
like you said, it is definitely cool that she allowed Wes to kind of weave it into the story, because it's like she could have easily said no, like, no, I'm dealing with this in real life. I don't want to deal with it while I'm at my job and dealing with it on screen.
Right? Oh, yeah, I bet you that was kinda a little painful. Um, yeah, a little painful for her because like, in the movie, it's painful for her, because she's having all these bad feelings, and it shows that because she's like, oh well, I feel like Freddy's actually real, like he's invading the real world, like what the hell's happening? But no, finding that information out, it definitely adds a little bit more to it because you're like, oh no, she's actually thinking about her real life stalker. My next one is Miko Hughes. He was it? Miko Hughes has kept the sewn up T Rex dinosaur since filming. Wes Craven had an original copy without the scars.
I would have done the same. That is that's absolutely memories, you know? I mean, you could pass that along to your kids or and then they could pass it along to their kids. I mean, that could be like a little fun family heirloom that you were in one of the Nightmare on Elm Street films.
Yeah, that is so cool. I'm
Sorry,
a
go
big
ahead.
fan of actors taking pieces of the movies that they work on.
I would do it. I mean, I would probably try to get permission, and I mean, a lot of these people do get permission, like, "Here, let me take, this Freddy glove or this, let me take the what is it? Like, the prop, like, if somebody gets killed, like, the fake head or something like that of themselves." People keep those a lot of the time.
Mhm. Which is it's that's cool as hell, but it's also really creepy.
Just to walk downstairs and see, like, a head of yourself with, like, a accent cut in it or something.
Yeah, that's not gonna make me, have a nightmare or anything.
So I thought this one was fun in the film because I believe this is the only film in the franchise that does this. And it's in the ending credits. Freddy Krueger is credited as himself, even though Robert Englund reprised his role as the character.
I saw that. I absolutely loved that. That was so cool. Um, and you were talking about his look. I really dug the coat on that. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a wonderful update to his attire.
I don't know why, but I think the coat, honestly, it made him look like like a bulkier, bigger Freddy and just more menacing.
Yeah, super menacing. And it wasn't like I don't know. I feel like if you throw a coat kind of like that on other people, um it feels like they're trying too hard,
Like a
to look
little
like a bad
cliche.
boy. Yeah. But this one it worked. It definitely worked. Let's see. Okay. At 3 appearances, Heather Langenkamp has played the protagonist in the series more times than anyone else. However, none of her appearances have been consecutive.
She is always an absolute welcome sight to me in these films, and I wish we could have gotten her more. It was one of these things that in the third film when she was killed off, that is like the one negative thing I can say about that third film because she's one of those characters. She survived the original, and then she comes back in the third to try to help these kids and be like a mentor, and ends up getting herself killed in the process. And it's one of those things where you feel bad for you, and it's a part of the story that, like I said, of the third film that is almost literally the only thing I don't like in that film is the death of Nancy or Heather Langenkamp's character.
Yeah, whenever I was rewatching it, I totally didn't remember her dying. And whenever I saw it and I saw that she got stabbed and she was like kind of dying and they faded off, I was like, no, they're not going to kill her. And then it shows her funeral. I was like, no.
I was right there with you. Of course, I remember it, so I know it's coming. Like her dad comes down in the dream world, and it's just like, here we go again.
Hmm.
I'm gonna get annoyed for a second here. So before making this movie, Wes Craven watched all of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and by the time he was finished, he claimed that he couldn't follow the storyline at all, and he further regarded that the sequels to be weak compared to his original masterpiece.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree to that. 'Cause they're totally different films. I mean, I know they're in the same franchise, but they're 100% different films.
It's to me, it's like you could go to like the first one, the third one, and then like fourth and fifth one, like that could be one continuing story. And then like the second one, Freddy's Revenge and Freddy's Dead are kind of like their own like individual like off the wall stories. And then the same with this one, like you could take this one back to the first one, the third one, and then have this one in continuity with those two, or just kind of do what like the 2018 Halloween did and have this one just be a sequel to the original. So like it's one of those things to where like a lot of franchises or you could do multiple timelines with these films.
Mm-hmm. Um, okay, these are all going to be a good chunk of these are Miko Hughes oriented. So just strap in. Uh, Miko Hughes was a Freddy fan way before filming, and he would often watch them put the makeup on Robert Englund.
Wasn't he like 6 years old in the filming of this or something like that? How are you a
Didn't
Freddy fan way before that?
didn't me and you watch it whenever we were like 6 years old?
Hey, we're not talking about us right now. No? I became a fan around 5 or 6 years old, yes.
See, he can too, but he actually knew the person.
Yeah, that's called cheating. That's an unfair advantage.
I know, man.
One day at Texas Frightmare, we'll get there. We'll get to meet the Robert Englund face to face.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
In a Fangoria magazine, Robert Englund pointed out that Wes Craven's documentary style on New Nightmare forced him, as well as the other actors, to take a different approach. He was quoted saying, "I was all set to play Freddy in a fairly predictable way, but Wes came to me early in the filming and reminded me that this is a different kind of Freddy and that I could grunt, growl, groan, scream, and talk if I wanted to." So he kind of gave Robert Englund like free reign as Freddy Krueger in this film.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I love hearing when a director trusts his actors to know the character well enough for them to do what feels natural to them.
Especially after you've played the character for 6 films, you you could kinda go to the director and be like, "I don't think Freddie would do this," or, "I don't think he would say this." I'm sure Wes kinda gave him that kinda respect as Freddy Krueger.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wes Craven tried to get a real reaction from Miko Hughes to actually cry during this film. To do this, his mother would leave the set and his father would whisper in his ear, "Your mother's dead." And if he acted well for the take, his reward would be a Happy Meal.
Cheese and rice.
I know, that was so messed up.
I don't know if a Happy Meal is worth it. I mean, back then, you probably got the good toys and stuff, but hey.
Yeah, those Happy Meal toys could survive a nuclear fallout. They were fantastic.
I don't know if it's worth me breaking down like that in a scene, though. Jeez.
Listen, kid, you're gonna have years of therapy for this, but you're gonna develop one hell of performance.
Exactly. So I stated this one a little bit earlier, but at around an hour and 52 minutes, this is the longest film in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
And I absolutely appreciated it. This was such a good movie to watch.
Like I said, it's one of those things to where some films are this length and they drag for me. And then other films are like this, where you have an intriguing story that you can follow, characters that you care about. And by the time you get to the end of the movie, you're pretty much thinking to yourself, like, damn, this is already almost over. Or like, that was awesome. Like, I loved everything about it, and I'm in that boat. Like I'm a big fan of this film. So you'll hear me gush about it when we get to our favorite categories.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. Let's see. Okay, let's talk about something that I am a big fan of. This is the only film in the Nightmare franchise to feature an orchestral music during the closing credits, rather than electronically score like all the other films, including Freddy vs. Jason in '03 and the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street in 2010. It is also the only entry in Elm Street film series that doesn't feature a popular contemporary song playing in the end credits.
I will tell you this right now that I was a big fan of the score. I won't tell you what my favorite one was, but I absolutely enjoyed the score in this film, how different it was, how we still every now and again had like some original like Elm Street, Freddy Krueger like score cues in the film, but like that the ending credits, the music that's played for that when when I knew it was coming on my rewatch for the episode, I won't lie, I might have turned the surround sound up a couple extra notches.
Very nice.
So I only have two more for you, and my first one is when Robert tells Heather the fans would like to see them together again. She responds, "In what, a romantic comedy?" In which Robert responds, "Just because it's a love story doesn't mean it can't have a decapitation or two." And England starred in The Phantom of the Opera from 1989, which is a tragic love story. Although Langenkamp doesn't co-star, there is a decapitation in the film.
Oh, you bastard. You took my quote.
My deepest apologies, sir.
Let's see. Okay. Um, yeah, that's definitely a good little quit though. Okay. So the large rocket ship used in the playground scene, um, went into Miko Hughes's backyard after his father bought it.
I seen that, and I might have looked up, like I was trying to figure out, like, a price that they bought it for. I was really curious to see what they paid for that back in '94, 'cause it what kid wouldn't love to have that in their backyard? Your house would be, like, the bomb of the neighborhood.
Hell yeah. Like, hey, let's go over to Miko's house. He's got a whole amazing backyard. Oh, you mean the kid that played in Pet Cemetery and New Nightmare? Like, let's stay away from him.
This kid's got bad juju written all over him.
Oh yeah, he not only he's oozing bad juju. That is insane.
So my
Let's
last one for you here is that this is the only Nightmare on Elm Street film where Freddy does not kill any teenagers. Every character killed in this film is an adult.
nice. Okay, I got two more for you. One, yeah, okay. So Wes Craven's daughter, Jessica Craven, appears as the junior nurse.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, she was the one that originally she got the vial and she pulled it into the syringe, and then um, the babysitter went over there and to stop her, and then the senior nurse, then she stuck Dylan. So yeah, the nurse that was afraid, she was Wes Craven's daughter, or still is.
It's always like I like seeing that kinda I would be one of those, like, directors too, like, I mean, Rob Zombie does it a little, like, extreme with his wife, putting her in everything, but, like, to put, like, your kids, like, in a little small part in a film or your wife or some friends or something like that, I like seeing those little call outs and learning about those in films.
Me too. Like the Deadpool and Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds put his wife and his daughter in those movies. In that movie.
I honestly did not know that because I haven't seen that. I've been working my way through the Marvel and the DC films, so I'm not quite there yet.
Well, just it's no spoiler. It's just they just play in there, and it's you don't know who they are. You're just gonna have to watch the credits or look at some trivia for it to find out who they are. But it's absolutely awesome to see that they're in there. Um, and then my last bit of trivia is the working title for the film was A Nightmare on Elm Street 7: The Ascension. However, producer Robert Shea felt like he didn't want audiences to see this as another tired sequel to the series and wanted to stand on its own feet. So much so, the trailers and TV spots never showed Freddy's face on screen until after its release.
And I think that was very smart on their part, because when you get to Nightmare on Elm Street 5, and then you know that Freddy's Dead is part 6, you hear a Nightmare on Elm Street part 7, and it's like, okay, like, how are they gonna resurrect Freddy? Like, is his daughter gonna be in this one? What stupid storyline are we gonna follow here? And then, like, you get a title, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and it's like, all right, what is this guy cooking up? That makes me way more curious than part 7. Like, is he going back to like a direct sequel to the original? Is this like, are we completely starting over? Like, this could have been an origin story for Freddy or something of that sort. Like, it just makes you ponder what it's going to be compared to A Nightmare on Elm Street part 7.
And I have such a huge respect for them not showing anything and not showing Krueger until after the movie's release. I'm all about that because I love not knowing going into films. Like whenever a movie is coming out that I'm super excited about, I will watch the first trailer and that is it. Like when Jurassic World came out, I remember I watched the first trailer. I didn't know anything about the Indominus Rex. I didn't know what he looked like. I just knew, hey, new Jurassic World movie or Jurassic Park movie. It's called Jurassic World. That's awesome. And then I was in the break room. Someone turned on the TV for a split second, and there was a picture of the Indominus Rex, and I was so pissed.
I think that's what a lot of horror movies do really. I think that's like the downfall of a lot of horror films nowadays is they put a little bit too much in the trailers, and they
Mhm.
like a lot of their jump scares that they have in the film, they put in the trailers. So like you can watch the film and you
That was the
know
only element.
where a quarter or half of the jump scares are going to be, and it kind of ruins like the theater experience because they put so much in that 2.5 minute trailer or 2 minute trailer to where they could have put like, instead of doing the jump scares, they could have put a little more of like the characterization or like a little bit of explanation, and kept those scares hidden away. So I think that's why a lot of horror films kind of don't do as well at the theaters today. They kept stuff a little bit more hidden back in the 80s and 90s for like film trailers.
I'm with you on that, but I'm gonna expand on that a little bit with not just horror movies, but all movies now. All movies, they give away the whole plot, they give away the secrets, they give away everything in the trailers. Like they have freaking 14 trailers for a new movie. Like why? Just give us 2. Give us 2 max and leave the audience guessing. Everybody wants to pick apart everything so much, like um, Godzilla versus Kong movie. Uh, I remember I was doing so well. Again, freaking internet ruined it for me. And they were like, "Oh, well, it looks like Mecha Godzilla's in the background." And I'm like, "Why do I want to know that? I would just let me be surprised at the big ass freaking screen that's in front of me, and let me enjoy this film. Like, why are you gonna ruin it for me?"
Exactly. I agree 100%. I mean, when it comes to the new films, I just meh, I don't know. I'm gonna I'm gonna let that one rest.
Okay, I'm off my soapbox. I'm good.
All right, so that is all we have for fun facts, I believe.
Yes, I'm good.
All right, so would you like to dive into who your favorite character was in the film?
Mm. I think mine was Heather Langenkamp. I feel like she portrayed herself in a fantastic way that only herself could portray.
And I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. I chose Heather Langenkamp, or Nancy, as well in this film. And it was one of those things to where, being a lifelong Nightmare on Elm Street fan, or like a fan of the franchise as a kid, it was great to see her back once we got to this film, and find out that they were doing something different, and that like all of those films were still in existence, but they were movies inside of this movie. They weren't in this timeline. So it was her being she was a film star, and it was portraying her real life. I thought it was super creative. I thought she did a wonderful job with like the her being a mother and a wife and like the family aspect and being concerned for her little boy. And I just thought she played it phenomenally. And to not get her back for 4, 5, 6, and then to get her back here, it was like a little cheer went off inside of me, like yes, like Heather Langenkamp, Nancy, she's coming back. Like let's see what this film brings. So well, once I seen this, because I believe I seen the trailer for this when I was younger, before I seen the actual movie, because but your VHSs back in the day, they would put all the movie trailers at the beginning of them. And I think this was on one of them. So I was like a 7 or 8-year-old me finally getting to watch this movie after seeing the trailer for it on another VHS and being excited that Heather Langenkamp was coming back.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
So I'll give you my favorite score for the film, and I chose one called Transformation, and it's when Heather Langenkamp is kind of talking to John Saxon, who played her father in the first and third film, and they start calling each other Nancy and John, who were their characters in those 2 films, and they're like, "Why are you calling me John? Why are you calling me Nancy?" And Freddy is coming up out of Dylan's bed, and it's like he's waiting for them to like get back into film character before breaking out completely. And then finally when John or the John Saxon's character says, like, he tells Nancy, like, "Get some sleep, I love you," and she's like, "I love you too, Daddy." Freddy finally breaks out, and like the ending credits music kicks in, and it's like this haunting like choir orchestra. And I thought the whole scene and the transformation of it, if you will, as the score is called, was just like an absolute hit. It was like pure nostalgia taking us back into like the world that Nancy lived in A Nightmare on Elm Street. So I thought that was awesome.
You know, you're just gonna have to stop talking because you stole my second favorite quote, and it was that whole interaction. Now I already found the third one. Don't worry, because there was a lot of good quotes in this movie. I will say that. And then my favorite score, I actually have a toss up between when she's on the talk show and they're like, "Well, we have a surprise for you. Here's Krueger," and or here's Freddy, and that's the title of the score is, and now here's Freddy, and I love that the little techno-y, the callback to the how techno-y all of the scores were in the previous films, and I absolutely loved that. And then the one that it's tied with is the final score, Safe at Last? Question mark. Because I found it to be just beautiful. I was expecting, someone to come out, like a musical artist from that time. Hell, I was expecting who was it? Vanilla Ice or someone to start singing about Freddy Krueger this time. And then no, it completely switched it up, had the orchestra, and I was like, oh, I like that.
I will give you that. That scene where Freddy comes out and they kind of surprise Heather with that. That is one of those scores that it's my old co-host Chris would say it's a bop. You know, something you can like nod your head to or snap your fingers to. Like it was one of those. So I definitely agree with you. That was probably that was in my top 3 scores. Like the Safe at Last was number 2, Transformation was 1, and then the one you mentioned would have to be in there as well for a top score in this film.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I thought the scores in this movie was just phenomenal. I loved the music throughout this whole movie. It was great.
I couldn't agree with you more. And since I took one of your quotes, I will I will literally I will pass it off to you and I will defer to you and let you go first for our favorite quote of the film. I don't want to take another one from you.
Uh, Let me see. I scrolled down. Oh man, I just had it. 2 seconds. Okay, it's uh the quote where Heather calls Robert Englund on the phone and they just have that little exchange. And she's like, actually, it's been giving me Freddy nightmares. It's like, wait a second. Now let me get this straight. You're having nightmares about Freddy, as in me? No, it isn't you. He's scarier. He's darker, more evil. Ah, I love that. I love the realization that he's also been having those nightmares. And then he pans over to his painting, what he was painting, and it shows the darker version of himself as Freddy, and it's beautiful. I thought that was such a good scene. You know, third best. The other two were stolen from me, but uh, still not bad.
Well, I apologize for stealing any from you.
What's yours? What's yours?
I will have to go with mine was a conversation between Wes Craven and Heather Langenkamp when she visits him. And it's not just one quote. I kind of chose like a whole back and forth between them. So Wes Craven goes, I think the only way to stop him is to make another movie. Now, I swear to you, I'm going to stay by this computer and keep writing until I finish the script. But when the time comes, you're going to have to make a choice. And Heather replies, choice? What kind of choice? And Wes Craven replies to her, whether or not you're willing to play Nancy one last time. And that just it's one of those quotes to where like it sends a shiver up your spine and it's like, ooh, they knocked that out of the park.
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought that was fantastic. I think the dialogue exchange feels so natural, and it definitely hits. Just about every conversation that it's had, I thoroughly enjoyed. This is a great movie to watch.
I 100% agree. I think everything flows, like you said, very naturally. And with like Heather and Robert England and like these people all know each other from previous films, and I'm sure they're good friends. I'm sure they have seen each other many times outside of just filming these films together or gotten lunch together or reunions, things like that. And it shows in the film that like they can sit and have a conversation and make it feel very natural. And like these two have known each other and have been good friends for a long time because they actually have. I mean, they've been friends and known each other for 10 years since the making of the original film. So it all flows together very well. And like I said, it just gives you a chill because like you get this quote from Wes Craven and Heather Langenkamp as they're having this conversation, and then the teleprompter shows that is what Wes Craven has written in the script for this film that he's writing inside of the film. It's just very creative.
Yes, super meta.
So I'll go ahead. I'll give you my favorite scene, and I'll let you go first for our your favorite kill because my favorite scene was it was Freddy's last stand. It was right as Heather, you know, she starts finding the breadcrumbs per se or the sleeping pills, and she takes him and she goes in to save her little boy, and it's just like one final battle for Nancy and Heather against this like demon Freddy, and it was just phenomenal. Like Robert Englund portrays it perfectly, and it was great to see these two have one final like on battle sorry, one final on-screen battle, like winner take all type thing. Like you love to get that between like your original final girl and your classic horror villain. Kind of how fans are really big on when Laurie Strode comes back, like Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode against Michael Myers and things like that, or Linda Hamilton coming back as Sarah Connor against a Terminator. Like we live for like moments like these in a film that we're watching. So like that Freddy's the final battle or final stand is like the go-to spot in this film. If I had to fast forward to any spot, it would be where she enters that dream world and kind of, kicks Freddy's ass towards the end to save her little boy.
I'm gonna agree with you. That was a great scene. Now I do have issues with that scene. If you don't mind me jumping into that real quick.
Feel free. Speak your truth.
I felt like you bowed your chest up a little bit for that. Like, all right, let's fight. um, okay, so the thing that that I have an issue with that scene is that whenever she finds the breadcrumbs and then she's like, "Oh, hey, look, this is sleep. This is his sleep pill, sleep meds," and he took she took the pill and then she went to his bed. It's like, "Oh, there's another pill," and then just take it. And I had a whole Family Guy James Wood uh scene where they're trying to trap James Wood and then they lay out candy. He's like, "Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy." And I was like, "Please don't take all of those pills."
You're gonna overdose in no time. Like,
Yeah, that part just it's a serious part and it's a great scene. But while I was watching that, I started giggling because of that, and I just it was so funny to me. Um, so that was my only grief with that. But that's in watching the movie itself. Um, if you didn't know Family Guy, you didn't know that scene, then you're just kind of worried, like, please don't take all of those pills.
trust
Like, I
me,
get it.
when I was watching it, I thought about that and I was like, Jesus, how many? I don't remember her taking this many. Like, holy hell. Like, my first thought was you would overdose. Like, she just took 12 sleeping pills. Or she's going to
Yeah.
sleep for the next week. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She's gonna wake up in the hospital bed.
yeah.
Um, let's see. My favorite scene was the whole Heather and John Saxon talking, and they just every time it pans back over, they're more like more like Nancy. You know, they're more like their original characters, and I really enjoyed that. Because just seeing that back and forth, like it got darker, then his car changed, and then his his clothing changed, and then her clothing changed, and it just is that back and forth was just phenomenal. I loved that scene.
It was very creative, and that's why I gave a little mention of it during my favorite score, because that scene, he's back in his cop car and he's a police officer again, and she's like almost being portrayed as like a teenager in her pajamas, like that. That it's not only a transformation like the score says, like for Freddy, but it's a transformation for them back into their movie characters, and I that scene was also very like very high on my end as well.
Uh, did you have a favorite Freddy quote? There wasn't much, but did you have one?
There was a couple that I went with. I'm glad you mentioned that because I had honestly realized that I forgot about it and I was going to say something after our favorite kill, but we can absolutely mention it now. And I liked the jump scare that we got where Freddy comes out of the closet and he goes, "Miss me?" And it was like, we did. We finally get you 50 minutes into the movie and we've absolutely missed you. Like, it's like he was talking to us as fans and not Heather.
Yes, I agree. Again, stealing my favorite.
We just got good
that
taste.
was we do have good taste. Congratulations on the great taste, sir. um, yes, I found that to be my favorite Freddy quote as well because yeah, it was directly. I mean, he's looking straight into the camera. It wasn't a um, you see him looming over her and asking that. No, he was looking at you, and he's talking directly to you. Like, you miss me. I loved it. Um, I think my second favorite quote though would be "Hey Dylan, ever play Skin the Cat?"
I think that those are the two that everyone remembers from this film. It
It was phenomenal. I loved it.
it's one of those things to where, like, I wish I could have been in a theater in '94 and seen how what kind of pop that got from the crowd when Freddy Krueger jumps out and says that, "Miss me." Like, I feel like it had to have been an awesome theater experience.
Yes. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. I think, they need to bring them back into theaters and then let me watch this movie in the theaters.
That's why, like, I went to that I told you before that I went to that one Nightmare on Elm Street marathon where they showed the first 8 films in theaters, and that was phenomenal to be able to say, like, "Hey, we didn't stay for the 8th one for Jason Takes Manhattan because it was already, like, 12:30, and that movie's an hour and a half long, and then we had a hour drive home, but we watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. We skipped the 5th one to go get something to eat. So, like, to be able to say, like, I've seen those in theaters, like, I wish more places would do that to where, like, oh, it's October, let's show the first 8 Halloween films in theaters. We're gonna start it at 11 a.m. and run it till midnight or something, like, 'cause it's something that fans would go to. Same with, like, the Nightmare on Elm Streets.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Now Cinemark has started doing that, like, going classic movies, and they're not having movie marathons, that I know of. I think, you know what? I actually think they did. They did the Lord of the Rings trilogy, not too long ago, and I was so mad that I missed that because it was a weekend that I was gonna go see it, and then I picked up a side job, and they're like, "Well, this needs to be done by this weekend." I was like, "Ah, crap." So I had to miss that whole trilogy, but I so badly wanna watch this film in theaters.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. When I went to that Friday the 13th marathon, the theater was packed. There were people standing up on the sides and behind us. So I mean, there had to have easily been a couple hundred people in that theater, plus the people standing up. And it was a packed house, and they were doing in between films. They would ask like questions, like, how was this special effect done, or something, something that only like real like horror fans would know, or like fans of the franchise, and they were doing like giveaways and stuff. Like, it was super cool, and I would love for them to do something like that with the Halloweens or another franchise.
I did watch the, what was it? The first 2 episodes of, Star Wars, they came back out in theater for I think, like, 2 weekends, and I took my wife because she's a big fan of the episode 1 through 3, especially the episode 2, and so I had to take her to go see that, and, we just had it's a wonderful time just seeing that because they included some deleted scenes in there, and just seeing on the big screen definitely takes me back. There's drive-in theaters around here, around in Dallas that they show some original movies, and I need to go to that because nothing beats a old school drive-in movie.
I 100% agree because there's places in like New York and like Pittsburgh and things like that where I see them post all the time where it's like a Friday and Saturday Godzilla marathon, or a Harry Potter, or just something like that from our childhood, and I'm just like, you can't do it closer to Wisconsin, like, you can't help me out here, come on. I'm not, I can't drive 13 hours for 3 movies. Like, come on. But all right, back to this. I will ask you who your favorite death or kill or death scene was in this film.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. My favorite death scene was Julie. Yes, thank you. She was my favorite death. She just got uh the way she was tortured, especially in front of Dylan, and it was just horrific. And you can only imagine what the kid was thinking, and just seeing that, I thought that was a really impactful death, and I loved everything about it.
And that was the one that got me as a kid the most. When I was younger watching this, that one had the biggest impact on me because, like you said, her getting drug up the wall and onto the ceiling, and having Dylan like watch his babysitter being killed. And like of course we get the famous Freddy line like you quoted earlier, like, "Hey Dylan, ever play Skin the Cat?" And it's just like an iconic scene in the film. But on my rewatch, the one that had like the most impact on me was Chase, because like he's leaving work after Heather's like panicked, and he's coming home, and the camera just pans to show that the glove that they've been working on for Freddy is missing. So it's a little like ominous nod to something's gonna happen. And then like he's on his way home, he's driving, like singing to himself, and you see him kind of nodding off, and you see the Freddy glove kind of come through his seat. And I feel like that's a callback to his glove coming through the water from the original Nightmare when Nancy is in the bath,
Mm-hmm.
and it just jumps out and just pretty gruesomely claws his chest and kills him. So that one had like the most impact on me for being like so sudden and just like in your face.
Yes. I love it.
There weren't very many kills to choose from in this one. So I mean those were definitely the two that stood out to me.
Yes, I agree with you. I mean, well, how can I not agree with you? It's simple fact. There was not that many kills, but still, they were impactful. They were all brutal, and I loved them.
So I think that is all we have for our favorites category on this one. If I think we can get into some final thoughts. We'll talk about the next film we're doing on our next episode, and we can get out of here if you would like to plug as always, and then I will dig into our final thoughts on this.
Oh yeah. Thank you everybody for listening today. If you would like to hear more of my beautiful voice, including my wife's, please tune in to the Make Me Believe podcast. We're on all major platforms where I tell my wife some scary stories and the efforts of making her believe in the supernatural, paranormal, aliens as well, and just anything that goes bump in the night.
So I'll dig into some final thoughts on Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I mean, I think anybody who's listening to our episode can figure out where we stand on this. I think this is a timeless film. I think I liked it a lot when I was younger, and I think the more I watch it, it's only the more that I like it. And I think Heather Langenkamp does a great job in this. I think Robert Englund as himself does a good job, and he's absolutely menacing and a terror as Freddy Krueger in this film. And I loved seeing how they went to Bob Shea and talked with Bob Shea, who's the producer of all of these films, and went to Wes Craven, who has been a producer and a director on these films. And it was just awesome to see this film portrayed as like a portraying the character's real life, and it was just a wild switch up for this franchise, and one of the more different things that they've done. Like they've done a lot of different things in this franchise with films, but this is one of them that works immediately in my mind, and it does the right job. So I mean, this is, I hold this one in very high regards, and it's just a fun time. So it's absolutely one of those ones that I recommend, and I haven't watched it in a while. before reviewing it on the podcast. So I'm definitely going to start to come back to it a little more often than I was.
I'm with you there. I loved the portrayal of a movie inside of a movie. But anytime I start talking about that, then I just think of oh my goodness, what is his name? Robert Downey Jr. In Tropic Thunder. It's like I play a dude, disguised as a dude, disguised as another dude. And that pops in my head every time. I'm like, damn it, Robert, why'd you have to do that to me? It's such a great quote. But it kills me trying to enjoy some stuff sometimes, you know? But I absolutely love this movie. I truth be told, I forgot about this movie for some reason. And whenever it came, whenever it, I got to watch it for the podcast. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad I'm rewatching this. This is phenomenal. I love it.
That is what my job is to do, is make you watch movies that you haven't seen in a while or we grew up on, and make you fall in love with the franchise all over again. I am here for the people. So before we get out of here, as always, I'll thank Adrian for joining me, because we are a couple episodes in on recording together, and we are rolling through this Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I think we're only going to get better and continuing to get better as we go. So I appreciate you again for joining me.
I appreciate you having me on here, Connor.
Absolutely. Wouldn't be able to do it without you. So again, thank you. Thank anyone who's out there listening to us. And we have a huge, massive crossover film on our next episode. It's not a direct sequel to this film, but it is a direct tie-in with the original timeline of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, with Freddy versus Jason. So that is going to be an exciting listen and watch. And Chris and I had done that episode already, and for the Friday the 13th franchise, but we're going to do it a little different for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. We're going to have completely new fun facts and everything for you guys. So it'll be worth it to listen to us again a second time on that film.
Oh yeah. I'm super excited about it. I'm very pumped.
So can I ask you whose team you're on, or am I waiting for the episode for that?
I mean, everybody should know it's Jason, 100% Jason. I mean, I got a Jason tattoo. I got a Jason painting that I'm staring at right now, and there's a little Jason Funko Pop right here. The only thing that's Freddy in this room right now is my dog's chew toy.
All right, so we got 2 for Team Jason as of right now. So we'll see what happens when we get to the episode.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
So again, thank you for joining me. Thanks anyone out there who's listening to us. And again, Freddy versus Jason on our next episode. But until next time.
See ya.
Yeah.
Robert,
Heather, you doing all right?
hanging in there. You know the guy that was calling me all the time? He started again. And he's putting stuff in my mail again.
Oh, listen, the SOB probably read about the funeral in the papers or something. Sick mother. It's the last thing you need right now, I'm sure.
Actually, it's been giving me Freddy nightmares.
Wait a second. Now, let me get this straight. You're having nightmares about Freddy? As in me?
No, it isn't you. He's scarier. He's
Darker. More evil.
Yeah. How did you know?
Call it a guess.
Pretty damn good guess.